What's up, Cats fans? Paul here from the Hoops crew, ridden with COVID, to go through with you the round 16 to 23 fixture that has been released by the AFL today. We can get a bit of a sense of where Geelong is at, talking about the season as transpired so far, what we've got to come, some of the time slots for our different games, and what it's going to mean in our quest for a 2024 Premiership Cup. So, let's begin by kind of analysing, I guess, where we're at. Now, obviously, it's fairly well documented. I'm recording this in a vacuum. Of course, things could play out very differently over the course of the next few games, let alone once we get to round 16 onwards. But as things stand, we're 7-2. We've gotten the job done against some lesser lights, admittedly. I guess if we double check this, Saints not in the top 8, Crows not in the top 8, Hawks not in the top 8, Dogs, are they there at the moment? I don't know, but I ultimately don't really rate them as a team. So they're North, not in the top 8. In fact, bottom of the ladder. The Lions, not in the top 8 currently. Should be a brilliant team and not performing like one. Carlton, I would say there's one win out of our 7 that are from genuinely hard-nosed opposition. You maybe say 2 if you want to add Brisbane because we know what they can and should be. But 1 out of our 7 were against genuinely hard-nosed opponents. And since then, we've gone on to lose our last 2 to both Melbourne and Port Adelaide. So that's where we stand right now. 7-2, great position to be in, regardless of who the opposition is. You can only beat who is there on the day. And of course, as is fairly well documented, we've kind of had a softer fixture because of where we finished last year. And the Dogs, just to confirm, they're 11th right now. So let's kind of keep moving through this and take a look at what is to come before we get to round 16, where I think we should perhaps want to be at before we get into that final block and we start analysing the games that have now been revealed. So, our coming opponent, Thursday night, Gold Coast Suns, over there in Darwin. We still don't know yet whether Hawk is ultimately going to play. We know their plan was to not play him, but of course with Jeremy Cameron out, we'll have to wait and see there. And then the Giants, and in Geelong. And those 2 games, I guess, bring to a close what was acknowledged, I think, by all to be a pretty difficult block of 6 games, beginning with the Lions. And we got the first 2. We've broken even so far. We're 2-2 from those 6 from the 4 games we've played so far. And absolutely would love for us to go charging up to Darwin this week, get the job done against the Suns, a team who might be sitting 10th on the ladder right now, but are absolutely, I think, better than a 10th place side. They've just been a bit flaky and a bit patchy as developing teams can be. The GWS Giants, who only weeks ago were considered the flag fancies and have kind of had a bit of a dogged run of injuries lately. I'd love for us to come out to Darwin, get that job done, return home, make up for what happened against Port Adelaide this week, and get the 4 points against the Giants, making a very strong statement in the process. Then we cast our eyes forward. The Tigers should be a win. That should be a walk-up at this point. Not that I want the players thinking like that, but for us as fans, you would like to think, okay, that's a win. We can just bank that one. The Swans is obviously going to be a really, really tough match, and it's in Sydney as well. So, look, if I'm looking at the block of 4 games we've analysed so far, I think this is the one that maybe right now, age and stage, how the Swans are going, the little bit of a drop-off that we've had, I'd like to think it's a really tight match. I'd like to think that we can get the win, but that might be the one that I'm going, let's maybe pencil that one as a loss for now. Not ideal, but such it is. From there, we're looking at a return bout against Carlton, the MCG again. It's a what is that? It's a Friday, 7:40. Hopefully, we put in an even better game than what we did against Carlton last time, and we can kind of shut down any of this talk that they got through because the Geelong got through because Carlton was inaccurate or any of those sorts of things. You were down by 6 goals with about 5 minutes to go, guys. Chill out. It's very much like what happened with us and Port this week, where Carlton shouldn't have let us get as far ahead, and we shouldn't have let Port get out as far ahead as they did. And that takes us to round 16 onwards. We play the Bombers, who currently sit 3rd with a 6-2-1 ledger. Now, Ben, you may or may not be watching, but the Bombers aren't any good. The Bombers really aren't any good. They've played well above themselves, and all credit to them. But I think unless something catastrophic happens in terms of form, in terms of injuries, that sort of thing, I think we just bank that win. The Hawks get it done at GMHBA, no problems. The Pies will be a very interesting contest. You can see that they are starting to rise up once again, and it'll be interesting to see how we go against the reigning premiers. It's taken till round 18 before we finally get that match. 7:40 on a Friday night as well, so it's a real marquee slot. Makes a lot of sense for the AFL to go with that. I think, from what I saw, I believe it is our only Friday night for the rest of the season. It is. It's our only Friday night, finals aside, for the rest of the season, barring the game against the Eagles. But I don't see a game against the Eagles being a Friday night. So that's our final Friday night game for the home and away season. Feels like a coin flip, but the two teams have always had good matchups, tight matchups, and we just hope that that's going to be the case this year with the Cats coming out on top. The Dogs, GMHBA, should get the job done, no problems there. Return stash against North in Hobart, and sure, that makes a difference. We don't go down south overly often, but again, should get the win there Saturday. I'm noticing that we're not playing any Sunday games. Yeah. Barring potentially what happens with this game against the West Coast Eagles, we do not have any Sunday games for the rest of the season beyond round 16. And I'll just check. Thursday, Saturday. We've got one Sunday game here against the Swans. And then Friday. How did we cop that? June 9th to... Oh, there's a bye in the middle. Nothing to worry about. So North, we get to go against the Crows again, back at home. We're getting the right teams in the right places for the most part here. Fremantle in Perth, hard to know. They're definitely improving. They're definitely showing that they are more than what their scoreline says on the ladder. But whether they're ultimately a seriously competitive team remains to be seen yet. The Saints, look, it's probably a danger game in round 23, if I'm being honest. We were kind of lucky to get over the line in round 1. Of course, round 1 is always a very different sort of situation because teams are getting into their season. Some, have had more or less time to prepare than others. Injuries, all those sorts of things. It's a variable in the mix. And of course, some of those variables will be there at the end of the year as well, especially injuries. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. It's a danger game because it's at home for them. They do play the ground better than anywhere else. They'd want to have a ground where they actually perform at. And then we finish the season with the Eagles. As I go through this and I look at the opponents that we've got, if I've got a bit of if I try and bring a bit of a negative perspective to this, and any of those games against kind of really serious opponents who are thereabouts with us on the ladder, or I expect to be thereabouts with us on the ladder, assuming that we lose those games, then from this point, I expect that we beat the Suns. And sorry, again, it's a very negative hat on that I'm bringing to this. We beat the Suns, we lose to the Giants, so that's our third loss, our fourth loss to the Swans, maybe our fifth to the Blues. I don't rate the Bombers, so there's no issues there. We beat the Hawks, maybe we lose to the Pies. That's 6. We beat the Dogs, we beat North, we beat the Crows, we beat Freo, we beat the Saints. We're finishing the season with only 6 losses, another 4 from our remainder of the season, and that obviously positions us really, really well when it comes to having a shake at winning a flag. That puts us right in the window for top 4, puts us right in the window for a home final potentially, and who knows what's possible from there. Obviously, there's been a lot of teams dropping a lot of wins early on in the piece here, so it definitely gives an opportunity. If I take a look at the ladder now and we wait for that to load, we've got teams like Melbourne and GWS that are in that. Melbourne, GWS, and Port and Carlton, that are all 6 wins, 3 losses. They're all sitting equal 4th right now, and only percentages separating them. You can't imagine they're only going to go on to lose 3. A maximum of. Can't imagine they're going to lose 3 more games for the rest of the season. Sorry, my head's getting gluggy with this COVID at this point. You can't, they will lose more than 3 games for the remainder of the season, you would imagine. So if I'm right about Geelong here and kind of bringing that negative perspective to it, and that those games against the top teams, we lose all of them, we're in a good spot to still finish 4th on the ladder, like 3rd or 4th on the ladder, maybe even higher. Maybe we can go as far as second. Again, the Bombers will drop off. They're no good. The Pies are maybe that one to watch with a 5-3-1 scoreline at the moment. They could go on and win majority of their games and not lose too many from this particular point. That's definitely a curveball in the mix. But yeah, that is the ladder at this particular point. For now, I've brought a very future focused sort of look to this. Of course, we have our match against the Gold Coast Suns this week up in Darwin. Don't know if Hawk's playing. Don't know if he's going to be breaking any records this particular week. But if he does, congratulations, Tom Hawkins. Hopefully that game goes well. Hopefully we get the 4 points. Let us know in the comments what you think about how Geelong's finals tilt is shaping up. Are we finishing the year with only 6 losses? I feel like that's a great position to be in to go after finals. Could we do better? Could we do worse? Let me know in the comments. Again, I predicted a further 4 losses for the rest of the season and then a lot of W's. Check us out on social media. Paul James Games for myself. All the Hoops Crew related channels you can check out there. Hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com, where you can get early access. You can subscribe, get 7 days of free access to check out all the stuff, see if it's for you, and then potentially sign up for something more. Thank you to our major sponsor, Valhalla Brewing. Awesome beers. Go check their stuff out. Give it a taste. It's great. But otherwise, thank you, everyone. I'll see you later. Remain Geelong strong.